Okay, we're going to move forward, get started our live stream for the Black Gold movement. Thank you all for making the live stream. My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the author of the new book, Black Gold Devalued. I'm a contributing member to the Black Gold movement, and this is the Black Gold Solutions live stream where we focus on concrete, practical, methodical solutions to the many things that are destroying our community. We don't just want to talk about issues. We don't just want to highlight issues. We want to talk about ways to change those issues concretely, purposefully, methodically, programmatically, systematically. So with the live streams that we have, we want to be about bringing forward solutions to the many things that are killing and destroying the community, as opposed to just talking about them. So on this Saturday morning, we've been talking about Black Wall Street and the importance of it. Not only the historical Black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was destroyed, but the many quote unquote Black Wall Streets that existed before that and after that were also subsequently destroyed by white rioters and mobs. When we say Black Wall Street, we're not just talking about the community in Tulsa, Oklahoma that was burned down and firebombed in 1921. We're also talking about those Black communities that were self-sufficient, self-built, self-containing, and that were doing their own thing. They were separate because they didn't have any other choice but to be separate due to racism and segregation. But they used that separation as a basis to build power for themselves and their community. And in many instances, if not in every instance, they not only thrived, but they started to outperform the white community. Excuse me. And of course, as usual, a white person accuses a Black person of doing something. A lynch mob forms. They go to get that Black person, and then a riot breaks out. The community is subsequently destroyed. In some instances, those communities, they sought to fight back and to protect that individual and the community as a whole. But all of them were subsequently wiped out because they had the numbers were not in their favor, and they weren't prepared to defend the community, and they weren't I guess they weren't really accepting who their enemy was and the level of brutality he brought to bear. So when we say Black Wall Street, we're not just talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we're talking about all of those Black communities that were self-sufficient, self-contained, did their own thing, and were prosperous and profitable moving forward. And we've been talking about the importance of having a Black Wall Street. I've outlined 4 key areas that I think having a Black Wall Street brings to the table for Black people. And of course, there are many more than 4, but I'm highlighting the 4 major areas that if we had, as a community, if we were able to own and control our community, then 4 things that are really destroying the community we'd be able to immediately deal with. And those 4 things that I've highlighted are protection, economics, education, and Black excellence. And that Black excellence piece is not giving our talent, our time, our expertise, our intellect back to a system that's proven itself to be anti-Black, but we keep that Black excellence in-house so that we benefit from it more than any other community. As of right now, in 2017, my generation and every generation before me, we've actually failed Black people, failed Black children. I have a daughter who's about to graduate from the University of Houston. She's going to grad school somewhere, but once she completes grad school, she'll be getting a job somewhere. But it'll have to be with a business that is a part of a system that is anti-Black people. So because we as a people haven't created a counter system, or I shouldn't say haven't created, because we did, hence the Black Wall Streets, since we haven't created a community and a system and done a better job of protecting it, ensuring it is still around, when our children graduate college, they have no choice but to plug into a system again, that's anti-black, that's proven itself to be anti-black. So I'm saying when a black child graduates college, he or she should have a choice as to if they want to work on Black Wall Street or White Wall Street. They should have a choice as to if they want to work for Black Exxon or White Exxon. They should have a choice as to working for Black Silicon Valley or White Silicon Valley. And for me, my premise is by creating a Black Wall Street, we are able to create a system whereby black people can be protected. We can turn over the black dollar multiple times. We can properly educate our children in our communities, not only to their history and their current status in America, but what it means to be black in America, and how we take everything that we've accomplished as a people and move forward with it. And of course, we can keep that black excellence in house. So for the past 4 live streams, we've talked about each one of those 4 areas. And the last stream, it was actually on the streets. I was out in a community, and I wanted to try to paint a picture, try to let other people see how Black Wall Street is still happening. It's just not happening for black people, or black people aren't doing it. And if they are, certainly not on the scale that some other communities are doing it. So I was in an area in Houston, Texas, called Bel Air, a street called Bel Air. And the Vietnamese community has really done a fantastic job of owning and controlling their community and communities. And I only gave a small snapshot, and I don't think I really did a good job of doing that because I couldn't zoom in. And maybe I'll go back and give you guys a better look as to what I'm talking about. But they had shopping centers that were in both English and Vietnamese, and some were just in Vietnamese. The street signs and the names of the streets are in both English and Vietnamese. You could look up and down the street, left and right, and there was nothing but Vietnamese ownership and control. So that lets us know, or should let us know, that the opportunity in America is most certainly there for us to own and control our communities in a major way. We simply need to get about the task of doing so. And this particular live stream is about a little bit about my background as to being a member of a church here in Houston called the Shrines of the Black Madonna. And it didn't start in Houston. The shrine started in 1953 in Detroit. They had several locations in and around Detroit, Lansing, Flint, Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I think we were in Lansing. Then they went to Atlanta, then Houston, then to Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, where they have a farm, ranch land, and are now at least one location that I know of in Africa. So the point I want to make by highlighting my background as it relates to rebuilding Black Wall Street is that I'm not just talking about something that is good, that's a good idea, that's just a good idea, or something that is hyperbolic, or something that would be fantastic to do. My experience, my background is that I've lived in the type of community that I'm talking about, black people rebuilding. Now, as a national organization, as with any national organization, mistakes are made because there is no blueprint. We used to always say in the Shrine, there's no blueprint for what we're trying to do, but we're trying to build the blueprint. So, of course, mistakes were made, but within those mistakes, the Shrine got a lot of things right. And my goal with the Black Gold movement is to bring all those things that I think we got right to not just the community here in the greater Houston area, but to black communities nationwide. And when you juxtapose the things that the Shrine got right, a community that I lived my life in for 20 plus years, 21, 22 years, and that my 3 kids were born and raised the first, I say 5 to 9 years of their lives. I have 3 kids, 5 to 9 years of their lives. It's really the closest thing to heaven I believe black people will ever see. So when you compare the things that are killing the black community now with the kind of community that I lived in as a member of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, it is a direct correlation and a direct answer to many of the things that are killing and destroying black people. And I am saying I've lived in this environment, I've lived in this community, I've been a part of this system and this organization and this program that every black person in this country needs. And we don't need it because we are trying to be anti anybody else. That has never been the case, because that's really not our nature to hate other people. I'm saying we have to be pro-black first. I'm saying we have to love ourselves first, and love ourselves enough to understand that if we don't build something for ourselves, then we are running the risk of becoming a permanent underclass in this country. As I said at the introduction, I'm the author of the new book, Black Gold Devalued, countering the conspiracy to destroy the black community. I am saying that there have been things done since we've been here, since the first slave arrived in, I think, 1640 something, 1647, 1646, in Virginia. Since the first slave arrived to now, November 2017, there have been things done to black people on purpose, methodically, specifically, systematically, continuously, simultaneously, back to back to back to back. A lot of those things were happening at the same time. So when you look at the relationship between black people and this American government, if you are being open, honest, mature, and adult about it, and you're not, then you don't want to bury your head in the sand, it's hard to come to the conclusion that this government, really doesn't care a great deal about black people. So my premise is that black lives really don't matter to the dominant American culture. And we know that black lives don't matter because black lives aren't treated the same way as other lives are. The black body, the black mind, the black spirit isn't protected like other minds, bodies, and spirits are. But knowing that is only the first step to solving it. After you know that, after you accept that, after you embrace that, then you need to get about the task of confronting that, dealing with it so you can change it. And the only way I believe we are going to change it is by owning and controlling our own communities. The only time we've been able to move forward as a people collectively in a communal fashion is when we've been able to own and control every aspect of our environment. And when we've done that, when we've proven that we can take care of ourselves, when we are not assaulted or molested or harassed by outside forces, then we do just fine. There is absolutely nothing wrong with black people. There's nothing black people can't accomplish, can't do, can't succeed at, can't develop, can't grow, can't build, if we're left alone. And that is a huge factor in having communities that we own and control. So when I talk about Black Wall Street, I'm not just talking about the historical cities and counties and towns that happened before 2017. I'm talking about a community that I lived in that was a very good model to a Black Wall Street moving forward. So I'm here to say that all of the ills that are currently destroying the black community, everything that we're confronted with, we can deal with and wipe out if we simply get about the task of owning and controlling our communities. The major things that are killing the black communities are industry. We don't have any way to control, develop, build jobs, or bring things to the community that we can own and create jobs and training for. So the biggest one is industry. If you have a community where a large majority of the citizens in that community, if they can't find a job, then like any person, they are going to rely on the government, and or they're going to do things that they need to do to eat and take care of their family. So the first biggest issue I think that's hurting, destroying, killing the black community in 2017 is industry. We don't jobs aren't in the inner cities or the communities where we are. The second one is protection. Police brutality can be done away with, can be solved in a very short period of time if we simply policed ourselves. We know who the criminals are. We know who the drug dealers are. We know who the predators and pedophiles are. We know the dangers that exist in the community. We know who the good people are. We know who the community leaders are. We know who the elders are. We know who the children are. If we simply got about the task of policing ourselves, and we would let the police department know that this is a community that we own and control. It's private property. We can take care of this. If we need you, we will call you. And I guarantee you that approach will take care of police brutality. So industry, police brutality, protecting black lives is key. And also economics, which goes back to industry. We don't do a good job of keeping and turning over the black dollar in the community, which is part of the jobs thing, which is part of the community looking like it does. Black dollars, they come into the community when we get paid, and they immediately go out because there aren't enough businesses, real businesses, that are there in the community that's going to help that community grow and thrive. And in the, I think it was the second live stream I did about Black Wall Street, I was talking about the economics of it, and some things that we're working on right now. When you look at convenience stores or mini marts, washaterias, black hair care, the grocery stores, there are literally those four things. Those low, that aside from the grocery store, the convenience stores, mini marts, washaterias, black hair care. I'm sure I'm missing one. That's low hanging fruit that we can start to we can get into those industries, those areas, those businesses, and then slowly remove those elements from the community that are not investing in the community, that are not giving back to the community. And if you're anything like I am, when you go into these stores, these convenience stores, these mini marts, gas stations, I can feel the disrespect. I can feel how they look at me as if I am less than they are. And they may very well believe that by the way they take my money, by the way they give me my change, by the attitude. Everything to me is not a relationship that they aren't exploiting. Not all. There are several nationalities that come to the black community to make their money, to make a better way for their families, for their communities, for their people. And I don't fault them for that. I fault us for constantly giving them our black dollar and not doing more or doing anything in several instances to create a counter business. And I can guarantee you that if there was a Korean, Asian, Arab, white-owned convenience store, and right next to that doesn't give back to the community that's been there for years, and there is a black-owned convenience store that treats people better, that looks better, that is connected to the community by not only its investments, but what it does to make sure the community thrives, and we'll have an app that lets you know where to go to shop, then that business will put the other business out of business. Most people don't know that convenience stores make on average $650,000 in revenue a year. Profits is about $85,000 to $100,000 a year. That's one convenience store. So when you look at all the convenience stores that exist in the black community, and I'm just talking about the convenience stores, that's a lot of money that is going out the community that we could own and control and keep in the community. So the economics of not owning and controlling the community is huge, because that goes to how the community looks, the things we can do in the community, being able to invest that money into other businesses that could bring industry and jobs to the community, which goes to another thing that is killing the black community, which is both poverty and education. We aren't properly educated via the education system. There are things that are still being taught that aren't beneficial to black people. There are things that we don't know about who we are, our background, our history, what we've accomplished, what we can still accomplish. Those things aren't being taught in the black community. So it is on the black community to take up the slack of the school system, which is not doing a very good job of educating our children. And then poverty. Poverty is huge, which goes back to the industry and the jobs and owning and controlling the black dollar. So the very things that are destroying the black community, we can immediately affect and start to change if we get about the task and the work of taking over ownership, taking over control. And I am saying that as a member of the Shrines of the Black Madonna for over 20 years, I know what it feels like to be a member of a community that is owned and controlled by black people. Another big issue that is destroying today's black community is security and protection. Not just police brutality, assaulting, harassing, arresting, killing black people, but as you all know, black people kill black people. There's a criminal black element in the black community. There is a predatory black element in the black community. From crime, from rape, to assault, to burglary, pedophilia, murder. All those things exist in the black community, all of which we need to seriously affect. And if we can't secure the black community and protect the black community, then it's going to continue to look the way it looks. And I am saying that those direct threats to the black community, both within and without, can be affected and halted pretty much overnight when we have ownership and control of that environment. Again, living in an environment that's owned and controlled by black people who are all on the same page, all trying to do the same thing, is again the closest thing to heaven black people will ever see. The issue of poverty, the issue of protection, the issue of education, the issue of being able to dictate every aspect of what happens in your environment, as much as control and dictation is possible, the shrines of the Black Madonna had. So I did not have to worry about my child being shot by accident, or being bullied, or being harassed, or being molested, or God forbid being murdered, because we own and control the environment. We had our own security. I didn't have to worry about my children being educated properly, because we had our own school and our own daycare and our own nursery. I didn't have to worry about my child eating, because we had our own dining hall. I did not have to worry about places where we were going to meet and congregate and talk about the things that we needed to meet and congregate and talk about, because we had our own institutions. I did not have to worry about the environment that I was a member of, because it was an environment, it was a counter culture, it was a counter system to the anti-American system that currently exists. So I didn't have to worry about what my children are getting as far as the visual images, as far as the person that they go to school with, or the person that they might go to this church event with. I didn't have to worry about the system that my children were being raised in, because again, it was a system that was pro-black. And if we can't own and control the community, then we will never be able to create a new system, a counterculture that's going to help move black people forward. And I am saying, historically speaking, Black Wall Street was a wonderful thing, not just in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but every quote-unquote Black Wall Street that ever existed. I'm saying that's fantastic. But what we need to do in 2017 is get about the task of rebuilding, redoing Black Wall Street, not the way it was necessarily done in the past, but we do what they did and we add to it. And we add to it by bringing to bear some of those things that black people need today, which is a program to deal with the many issues that affect us both within and without, that we currently don't have or aren't available to us. So I am saying that Black Wall Street was absolutely fantastic. We need to redo that, but we need to redo it to the next level, which means we not only have protection, we not only have education, we not only have an economic structure that supports us, we not only have investments where we can bring industry, real industry, to the table, but we also have ways to protect it. Because our history in this country with this American system, with this American government, has proven itself antagonistic, belligerent, violent, and dangerous. And if we're not able to protect what we build, then we most certainly will not keep it. As we build whatever we build, we can be assured of two things, if nothing else. Two things. One, it is going to be attacked in some way by this American system or this government, be it a cyber attack, be it an electronic attack, be it a physical attack. That is going to happen, and we know that's going to happen because that's what this government does. Whenever black people seek to separate and do their own thing, they are attacked and destroyed. So we know that an attack from this American government or from the powers that be is inevitable. And we also know that once we start working on this thing, then once we start working on this community Black Wall Street rebuilding, we also know that if we don't create a system that's different than what currently exists outside of our community, then it's going to be destroyed by the behaviors that we bring to the table. We must create a system or be a part of a system that's going to help us understand what it means to be a member of a group, how important that group is, and how to make sure that the group is thriving and moving forward before the individual does. We need to get back to community. We need to get back to those African principles that helped us to build many of the greatest civilizations that have ever existed in Africa, of course. Those African principles, ways of life, understandings that helped us to be a people that at one time ran the world. I've tried to raise my children to have an understanding of African history and what it means to be black in America, and I would often tell them, which is the truth, that before there was a word for Europe, African people had universities. When Europeans were going through their dark ages, we were in our 10th, 11th, 12th dynasty, and a dynasty is 100 years of rule. So once you start to understand who you are and what you come from and where you come from before you got here to America, then you start to look at the many things we've accomplished despite everything that's been done to us since we've been here. It's easy to come to the conclusion that black people can do anything we put our minds to. And I think all we need to do is put our minds to rebuilding Black Wall Street, not just for the sake of making money or having an economic structure, but for everything that our community needs to survive and thrive. And again, the numbers are proving that if we don't do this, we are running the risk of becoming a permanent underclass in this country. And by those numbers, I mean, when you look at all of the important areas that a community needs to live, grow, and thrive, black people are on the bottom of every good list and at the top of every bad list. We will never break the back of the school to prison pipeline if we don't remove our children from that pipeline system. The school to prison pipeline is a system that labels, categorizes, miseducates, and places black children on a track to go to an alternative school, to be punished more severely than their white counterparts, go to an alternative school or be in an alternative program, be disciplined and punished in a different manner, get a probation or juvenile sentence, go to a juvenile jail, an adult jail, and then it just goes from there. That is a system. So the only way we're going to change or combat, because we're not going to change it, combat that system, is to take that most valued commodity of black and brown bodies out of that system and give them a new system to live in. So I'm saying that is just one thing we need to do to create change in our community. That's only one threat from the outside that is destroying the black community. And again, having lived in an environment for almost 20 years total, because I didn't move it onto the property for the first year, I had to go through training. Having lived in an environment for 19 years, we didn't have those issues. We didn't have the issues of police brutality. We didn't have the issues of of poverty, of family not eating because they don't have enough money. We didn't have the issues of protection, both from threats within and without. We didn't have the issue of educating our children up until a certain age, because after that they went to public school. We didn't have the issue of not being able to control the environment that our kids, our women, our elders are living in. We didn't have the issues of our elders having a way to give back, which is absolutely fantastic. We didn't have an issue of creating leadership, which is huge. If we're going to do this, it's just huge. We didn't have an issue of not educating and showing and demonstrating to our children what it means to build a black nation with power. One of the issues we have as a people, if you go to Facebook, or if you're on Facebook, YouTube, maybe Instagram, Twitter, yeah, black people, we love to talk about the glories of the African past, the things we've accomplished as a people, which is absolutely fantastic. But my contention is that it doesn't really matter if we built the pyramids, or if we came first, or if that we developed agriculture or whatever. It don't really matter if we're not trying to redo it. It doesn't matter how great we were if we're not trying to be great again. I don't mean great again individually, or great again as it relates to one group. I mean great again as a people. So we need to come together as much as possible. We know that it's not going to be everyone. It's never everyone. Never has been, never will be. But that's okay, because all we need is a critical mass. All we need is a critical mass of people, black people, to see that we need to build our own stuff, start doing that, and then by us doing something and not just talking, it'll bring other black people to the fore. So I'm saying that in order to make this Black Wall Street thing happen, again, in order to build communities, because I'm not just talking about one Black Wall Street in one city. I'm talking about creating self-sufficient, self-containing, strong black communities in every major city in this country, and multiple cities surrounding those major cities. If you were to go to Google and type in Chinatowns in the USA, hit your enter button, you're going to get several listings, but the first three are going to be Wikipedia pages. Click any one of them. You will see that there is a Chinatown in every major city in this country, and several smaller cities surrounding those Chinatowns. Now, the automatic question would be, okay, well, where are our little Africas? Where are our chocolate cities? And our chocolate cities and our little Africas were those Black Wall Streets that white people destroyed. But if we know how they operate and we know what they do, then the next time they come to destroy, we need to be ready to protect and defend, because you have to understand we're protecting and defending the lives of our children, our women, our elders, our community as a whole, and our future. And again, the attack will most certainly come. We don't know if it's going to be electronic, if it's going to be cyber, it's going to be straight out physical, like they were trying to do with the Native Americans with the pipeline. But we do know that the assault is going to come. And it's interesting that America refuses to treat black people with dignity and respect, but when we say, okay, fine, we'll do our own thing, they try to stop us from doing our own thing. The psychology of it is absolutely, it's crazy. But that's okay, because it's not about what they do. It's about what we do. It doesn't matter what they call us, it's what we answer by. It doesn't matter if they have declared us inferior. It doesn't matter unless we accept that they claim us as inferior. It doesn't matter how they portray us on television, because we'll have our own portrayal of ourselves on television, or our own television station and channels completely different. So we have to get about not trying to make him love and or respect us. We have to do what we need to do because we love and respect ourselves enough to do so. So I am saying that Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with its 600 businesses, and we hadn't even talked about the restaurants in the black community, which very few are owned and controlled by black people. Black Wall Street in Tulsa with its 600 businesses, its school system, its hospitals, its 6 airplanes, which is really amazing that black people had, those airplanes that they owned and controlled in the early 1900s. Their bank. We're not talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma's Wall Street, Black Wall Street, but there's several other Black Wall Streets that existed. So I'm saying that to know that we accomplished that is one thing, and to love and honor and respect that is one thing. To wear the t-shirts is one thing, but it doesn't matter if we're not trying to do that thing again. And I am saying that as a very, 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 very proud member of the Shrines of the Black Madonna for over 20 years, I am saying this is something that we can do. This is something that we can do. This is something that I have been trained to do. This is something that hundreds of black people nationwide as members of the Shrine have been trained to do. And this is something that we know how to do. But we can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. The people that I bring to the table who were once members, and some of them still are active members, we can't do it alone. So we need people and leadership that's on the same page as we are. And this is not a Shrines of the Black Madonna endeavor. But as a longtime member, I most certainly bring certain aspects of the struggle that I learned from the Shrine. But I'm saying if we're going to create these Black Wall Streets, we need leadership that's on the same page. And to do that, we need to find them. They're already out there. There are black people nationwide that are doing absolutely fantastic things in and around their communities that we need to connect with. April 14th of next year, we're going to have the first black leadership election to take place online. And that leadership election will be for us to vote for leadership in 18 different departments that we've outlined as of right now. And I say that because someone may let us know that we are missing a department and we might need to add one. When we first compiled the list, it was only 14 departments. But as we met people, talked to people, had conversations with people, they let us know that we needed another department. Very good example of that is that I met a brother who is a physics and chemistry high school teacher. Has done work for NASA to design, develop aquaponics food systems for NASA. Very intelligent brother. Met him through some other brothers that I was working with. And he said, man, I love it. I want to be a part. What can I do? I said, well, what can you do? And he said, well, looking at everything you have outlined, because I showed him our flyer at the time, he said, you need someone to design the cities. Who's going to design these cities that you're talking about building? And of course, I'm like, I don't know who's going to design the city. And the brother said, I can do that. He said, we need a department for someone to run for that is in charge of not just designing the city, but ensuring we have the right businesses to support that city. So as a result, we now have the City Planning and Business Integration Department that, well, as of right now, we only have one brother that's a candidate for, but that is something that I completely missed. Because here I am saying, okay, we need to have our own stuff, we need to have our own communities. There are abandoned towns and cities nationwide that we can purchase, which is part of the plan. But those won't be the only things that we need to do. We need to build from the ground up. So the brother is saying, even for the ones that we purchase, of course, and for the ones that we build, it needs to be supported by industry that we bring to the community, which is huge. So we now have the City Planning and Business Integration Department that this brother is a candidate for, because we need that. We need someone who has the expertise of planning for a city. And then everything else that we're talking about doing will simply plug into that. And then, of course, after the city is planned and built, we need somebody that can run it, which opens up other opportunities. So April 14th of 2018, we're going to have the first annual Black Leadership Election, where we're looking for leadership in 18 different areas to show black people how to do whatever that department is supposed to be doing nationwide. There's an agribusiness department. We're looking for someone with agribusiness expertise, understanding, insight, and program that they can bring to the national black community. So if we have someone in Marietta, Georgia, who has been in the agribusiness for 15, 20, 30 years. And they say, look, I know this. This is what I do. This is what I've been doing. Here are my successes. Here are my programs. Then we nominate them, vet them, make them a candidate, and then they run for election. And then when they win, if they win, or whomever wins, they would simply show the black community how to do what they've done in whatever area they've done it. And that's in one department. If we have someone that's very, very good at politics, because politics are sacred, you have to vote, especially locally, to build power, to build a nation within a nation. If we have someone who's very good at politics, building, managing, and running campaigns, or being plugged into the political system to understand what's coming down the pike, how to fight against it, how to get rid of some corrupt judges, how we deal with some corrupt police officers, all that is politics, all that's political. So we have someone who's very good at that, then he or she will bring that expertise once they win the election to the black community nationwide, so we can create a political system that ensures those persons who have our best interests at heart get elected, so we can get what we need. We need to be more like the Mormons, who have done an absolutely fantastic job of not only creating their own communities and their own industries and their own businesses, but they have plugged themselves into the political system to ensure that those persons who have their best interests at heart are getting running for election, getting voted for, and bringing resources and whatnot to the table. So I am saying we need to do the exact same thing. So the election is designed to do just that. Identify black excellence in doing whatever it's doing in the areas we need them to do it. We need our own FBI and CIA, for lack of a better term, so that we'll know what's going on in the country and around the world as it relates to that thing affecting the black community here in the U.S. Black people, I don't see too many white people or white organizations, but black people are talking about the Libyans that are being sold into slavery by, I think, by Arabs. That is something that's kind of been Gaddafi, who was assassinated and murdered by the U.S. He was, my understanding is, was a bulwark. He was a defender, a protector of those black lives, so that kind of thing wouldn't happen. And he said that if I am removed, there's going to be an influx of black people into Europe because they'll be running from certain things. And it looks like he was right. But of course, the brother was assassinated. And Muammar Gaddafi, he was not only extremely pro-black, but he invested heavily in Africa. I think his grandmother was actually African. And that was a problem for a lot of people. Now that he's no longer there, that protection is gone. So as a black community here in the U.S., we should have known about Gaddafi and what he was doing, both good and bad. And we should have known about how those things are going to affect us here in America. So we need to do a better job of keeping our fingers on the pulse of what's happening worldwide, so that we will know how those worldwide actions, or the lack thereof, are going to affect us here in America and our communities here in America and our children and our women and our elders here in America. One thing that we must realize is that as black people here in this country, we have certain opportunities that other people do not have. We can build, own, and control our communities. Most people, I take that back, several people outside of the U.S. and other countries don't have that freedom. So if we have the freedom to do so, then that puts us several steps ahead of other communities internationally that we can also help if we build a base of power here in America to help them. And what I'm saying is that having a Black Wall Street, not just one, but hundreds that are connected economically, educationally, spiritually, intellectually, we're all on the same page trying to do the same thing, then we become a huge leadership block for black people and African people around the world. So when things start to take place that we know are going to affect a particular community internationally, we'll be able to move here in the U.S. to make sure that thing doesn't happen internationally. People of color, melanated peoples, black gold, we outnumber everybody. Everybody. So what if we were all, or the vast majority of us, or even 10% of us, were on the same page? That's a lot of people on the same page trying to do the same thing. And I'm saying it starts with us. I'm saying this election next April is extremely important because things are changing in America. If you don't know, things are changing in America, and not for the best as it relates to black people in the black community. So we need to seriously work to create these communities that we can own and control so that we can remove ourselves from the dangers of the American culture, the American system. And by doing that, we can protect our children, our women, and our elders. We can plug our elders, our professionals, our educators into a system that's pro-black, that's about them and not about another system or another people. We can support a Colin Kaepernick because he would have a nation of people that's behind him, and we can bring political power, political pressure, economic power, economic pressure to those that are oppressing him. One of my issues with the brothers in the NFL is that I would be shocked if 99.9% of them don't agree with Colin Kaepernick's protests. But they have not protested with him because that's their paycheck, that's their livelihood. And I understand that. But if there was a counter system whereby those brothers could get support, or if we had our own NFL, like the USFL. The NFL is 68% black. If we started today to raise our children differently, if they're going to become a professional athlete, you need to play in the black NFL, not the white NFL, because the black NFL has your back and the white NFL does not. Then you change the dynamic. I believe that you can get the answers you want for what we need if you ask the question. So I don't say necessarily what can we do to change the NFL, because it's ran by 31 white men and one, I think he's Pakistani, and the commissioner, who's also white. We're not going to change that. It's what it is. I asked the question, can we create another one? And if we create another one that's plugged into all this other black stuff, this black world, then I think we can go to the black athlete, middle school, high school, college, and say, I understand the NFL is looking for you, but the BFL, the Black Football League, is also looking for you. And if we can't pay them comparably, although we should be able to, then we can say, we might not be able to give you 10 million, but we can give you 8, and you'll be supporting all of this other black stuff. As a people, we need to understand our power and what we bring to the table. If all the brothers in the NFL said, to hell with this, we're all taking a knee, and we're not playing until you address these issues that Colin Kaepernick has taken a knee for, then what's the NFL going to do? It's all about money. They're not going to fire all the brothers. And there are a few white guys who support the brothers. So you have to understand your power and what you bring to the table. But to do that, you got to have a certain mindset. And obviously those black people do not have that mindset. But they can have that mindset if we raise them to have that mindset. But we can only raise them to have that mindset if they live in an environment that we own and control. The key to black liberation, black salvation, is ownership and control. And there are black people who believe that we cannot own and control here in America. We can only own and control in Africa, which is interesting because Africa has its own issues, not just with China, but with Saudi Arabia, Russians, and things that they are dealing with there in Africa. So I am saying we're not in Africa. As connected as we are to Africa, because we are an African people, we're not in Africa. We're in America. So here is where we are. Like, what's the brother's name who's made this song? I can't remember his brother's name. It'll come to me. He said, "This is my country." America would not be America were it not for black people laying the foundation and helping to build it. Our labor, our ancestors' labor, blood, sweat, and tears laid the foundation for this country to be as great as it is. I think for us to leave it when so much of our blood, sweat, and tears is in the soil of it, is not very logical to me. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm saying since we're here, we start where we are, and we build where we are. And building where we are starts with the right leadership. So we need to find the right leadership. So what I need, every person that's on the live stream, Sister Nanyamka, Brother Kazembe, Sister Chinzira, Sister Oni, Sister April, my man from high school, Sanford Johnson. I'm doing very good, brother. Thank you. I need each of you to take this election seriously and help us find black people who are ready, willing, and able to lead in a given area. Like I said, if you go to the website, blackgoldnation.com, go to the election page, you see the departments. If you yourself can be a candidate for leadership in that department, then I would like for you to become a candidate for that department. If you are not such a person, you know someone that can be a candidate for one of those departments. Have a conversation with them. Call me. I'll have a conversation with them. And we will try to convince them to become a candidate for that department for the larger black nation, because we need their expertise and their black excellence. If you yourself aren't a candidate, if you don't know anyone that could be a candidate, then you can most certainly do some research to find a candidate. My revolutionary training has taught me to believe that everybody has a role to play. Everybody can contribute. Everybody can be a part. If you only have 5 minutes a day, is it 300 seconds? I'm sorry, 5 minutes a week. If you only have 300 seconds a week to contribute toward the liberation and salvation of black people, then okay, you take those 300 seconds and you go on Google and you research black people who are doing black things in black areas, or black people who are doing great things in great areas, and you try to make a connection via Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest or Twitter or whatever, straight email, whatever. You have a conversation with them. Look, my name is so-and-so. I'm a member of this organization. They're trying to do this. Are you open to a conversation? They say yes, have that conversation. If you're not comfortable and they say yes, call me, email me, and we'll have that conversation. I am saying that in order for the black community to survive and have a future worth living in this country, we must protect our children. We must protect our women, and we must protect our elders and give them something to be a part of. We must take all of those brothers that this American government is seeking to incarcerate and protect them from an anti-black system. And we can only do that if we create a counter system, a counterculture that they can be a part of. I'm supremely confident that if we connect with those brothers and sisters who are currently in the gang life, that warrior spirit. I have a daughter that has that warrior spirit. My middle child. If we connect with those brothers and sisters and we give them a sense of purpose, your job is to protect the nation. And you give them something else to do that's not on the streets, that's not illegal, that's not going to jeopardize their freedom and their life. I'm supremely confident we'll get, if not the vast majority of them, we'll get 25, 35, 45, 50%. Because I believe that they don't want to lose their life. They don't want to lose their freedom. They want love and compassion and purpose. We can give them that. The black nation can give them that if we build it. And I'm saying persons like myself who've been members of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, we've been trained to give that to black people. So I'm saying we need to give that to black people. But we will never be able to do that without the right leadership, and we need to find the right leadership. So April 14th, 2018, we're having the first annual black leadership. I'm sorry, not first annual because it's every 2 years. We're having the first black leadership election, whereby we're looking for black people to help us build a black nation with power in this country. And it's very possible, it's very doable, because we've done it before with all of our Black Wall Streets. I've lived it, being a member of the Shrines of Black Madonna. And even if those things didn't happen, even if I didn't live it, even if those Black Wall Streets didn't exist, it doesn't mean that we can't do it. There's nothing black people can't do when we put our minds to it. When we are allowed to come into any industry we take it over and we do our thing, because we bring a certain thing to the table that other people don't bring to the table. This would be a boring ass world were it not for black people. Everybody wants to be like black people. Everybody wants to do the things that black people do, but they can't because they're not black people. So via the black gold that we have, we are able to do certain things. We're able to achieve and accomplish certain things. And we most certainly can have our own community, our own safe space, and have it thrive and grow and be productive if we protect it. Do we have the warriors out there that are willing to protect it? Most certainly. We just need to find them. Do we have the intellect out there to protect them and that community? Most certainly. We just need to find them. Do we have the intellect and the expertise to build industry around our communities to make sure it grows and thrives and prospers? Most certainly. And when we do this thing the right way, we're talking about not just recreating a new black community, but we're talking about being an example for other communities, which changes the environment for almost everybody. If it's good for the black community, it's good for the country. If it's good for the country, it's good for the world. If it's good for the world, it's a must do, because we all live on the same planet. But it starts with everybody that's on this live stream. It starts with everybody that has the potential to see the live stream, because you guys are going to share it. It starts with you helping us find black leadership. So I'm saying I'm going to close this thing out, which, I'm going for almost an hour. I apologize. If you haven't already sent us your email address, please do so, because we need it so we can plug you into what we're doing, keep you abreast of everything that we're working on. And we have a huge announcement we're about to make this coming Monday about a serious step moving forward that's really going to allow us to lay the groundwork to start feeding black people around the country, to really to create jobs for black people around the country in new industries that are up and coming, that we most certainly can own and control, because there is no leader in those industries as of yet. And I'm talking about things like medical marijuana, aquaponics, hemp. We'll be getting into within the next few months cryptocurrency to invest in that. So there are a lot of things happening, a lot of things that we're working on, and we want as many black people as possible to be a part of, so that we can all benefit from it. So I'm saying, if you haven't already sent us your email address, send that so we can keep you in touch, keep you in the loop as far as what we're working on. We want you to share the live stream with as many people as you can, because again, it's going to take a lot of people to make this happen. And we want you to go to the website to not only familiarize yourself with the whole goal and what we're trying to do, but more specifically the election, which happens next April 2018, April 14th. And the last thing is that we need you to volunteer. And again, and I was laughing when I said it, but I'm very serious. If you only have 5 minutes a week, we need that 5 minutes. If you have 15, 20, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours a week, we need that. We're in the process of rolling out our youth Black History and Black Reality Saturday education classes. We want to plug as many black people, black youth around the country into that program as possible. And we can't do that if we don't have black gold ambassadors on the ground working in those areas. And it's going to be a very simple process by which we show a documentary, a video, a movie about a black thing, and then we talk about it with the kids to make them aware of some things that are happening to their people, maybe people they know around the country, how that thing affects them, and how they have a responsibility to work to make sure that thing doesn't happen. So we're trying to educate black youth around the country as to what it means to be black, as well as our history and our culture, so that they can be a part of something that's moving forward, that has their best interests at heart. And of course, that starts, again, with the leadership election, with having volunteers such as yourself that are willing to help, and creating programs that black children need. And although I have a certain background as it relates to building for black people, that most certainly doesn't mean that I have background in everything that we need, which is why the election is so important and your assistance is so important, because we need people who have expertise in multiple areas. So go to the website, blackgoldnation.com. Check out everything that's there, but specifically check out the election and get involved pages so you can better understand both. And let me know via email, blackgolddevalued@gmail.com. Gmail.com. Let me know via email. Or if we're connected on Facebook, send me a message. I'll send you my cell. And let's have a conversation about your volunteering time and what you bring to the table and what you would like to do. And let me say for Brother Kazembe, I think Kazembe is the youngest one on the stream. Hopefully he's still there. Kazembe, I'm not sure if Kazembe is not, I'm not sure if he's a millennial or not, but he's pretty close to it. So Brother Kazembe, you have a special charge as the youngest member on this live stream. You have to bring your generation to the table. You have to bring your Kibaland Academy brothers and sisters to the table. And of course, you know, all of them won't come for whatever reason, but some of them will. For those that do come, we need to have a conversation about what you can do, what you've learned, how you've been raised, and what you can contribute to make this thing happen. Because it's going to take my generation working with your generation to prepare the next generation, so that the generation following them will have something that has value that they can own and control, and that will help them have a better future, not only in this country, but connect with other black people around the world so that we can all rise together. So thank you guys very much for making the live stream. Again, the website is blackgoldnation.com. If I don't already have your email, please send us that. If you have any questions, you can email me at blackgolddevalued@gmail.com. And let's do this thing. There is nothing stopping us but us. All we have to do is get about the task of making this possible. So I'm going to end with two things. The first one is something one of my mentors said after every broadcast of her radio show. Her name is Sister Ada Edwards. Absolutely fantastic, wonderful, powerful sister. She said that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. No one can do everything, but everyone does something, everything will get done. And lastly, a statement that we will say in the shrine every day, all day, which is something that we need to take with us from this live stream and every live stream after. There is nothing more sacred than the liberation and salvation of black people. So on that note, thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful Saturday. God bless you. Thank you for taking the time, and I will see you guys on the next stream this coming Tuesday at 12 noon. Thank you very much. Share it. God bless. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.